So just how does a narcissist end a relationship, and will it be as bumpy a ride as the rest of your time together was? Well, I'm going to guide you through the most common ways that you can expect a narcissist to break up with you, and at the end I'll give you 5 tips to help protect yourself from suffering any further damage. Hi, I'm Steve Richards and I'm recently out of an emotionally abusive relationship with a covert or vulnerable narcissist, and this is all a part of my journey to recovery. Now, no breakup is ever easy, but if you're in the position that I've recently been in, or if you've ever been in a relationship with a true narcissist, you already know. The ending isn't just painful, it's both destructively calculated and also deliberately executed in the most emotionally damaging way possible. Narcissists never walk away quietly. They orchestrate their exit with precision, leaving behind an abusive trail of confusion, self-doubt, panic, chaos, and anxiety, all of which can last for months afterwards. And as is always the case with the predictable and formulaic narcissist, their endings will almost definitely follow the same exact pattern, no matter who they're with. If you've ever wondered why narcissists end relationships the way in which they do, or why their abandonment has hit you like a ton of bricks, this video is going to try and explain the elements of the narcissistic blueprint that is hardwired into each and every one of them when it comes to a breakup. One of the most common ways the narcissist will end things is with a sudden switch in their demeanour. One day you're the centre of their universe, up high on a pedestal, you feel an innate connection and an unbreakable bond. The next, you're completely irrelevant and most definitely surplus to requirements. You've now become nothing more than an irritant to the narcissist. Now, this isn't accidental. Narcissists thrive on power and control. So by suddenly pulling away without warning, they keep you off balance and in a state of almost paralysing confusion, and often self-blame. You don't get closure because closure would mean that you could move on. Instead, you're left scrambling for something to hold on to, replaying every moment and every conversation and wondering where it all went wrong. In the case of the covert or vulnerable narcissist, you'll be made to feel as though you're the abuser or have been inconsiderate of their feelings and that they are the tragic victim of your behaviour. There's no explanation, no conversation, just a prolonged wall of deafening silence that might go on for weeks and weeks on end. Your text messages will probably be left unread and will definitely all go unanswered, and your calls will all be completely ignored. And suddenly, this person who once demanded constant time and attention from you has simply vanished without a single word. No warning and definitely nothing resembling closure. For them, exactly as it was during the relationship, silence isn't absence, it's punishment. It forces you into a downward spiral of self-blame because when someone ghosts you with no explanation, the natural reaction is to assume that you must have done something wrong. And the silent treatments and the narcissistic shelving that you will have become conditioned with during the relationship will enforce the notion that you failed them in some way, which keeps their power over you alive long after they're gone and are already undoubtedly pursuing a new source of supply. A narcissist will rarely end a relationship without first rewriting the story. They do this for the sake of both their own conscience as well as for the benefit of onlookers. The narcissist will often stage the breakup in a way that paints them as the hero, or more commonly with the covert narcissist, as the fragile victim. You can expect social media posts full of cryptic quotes, or perhaps worse still, direct accusations. They might feed mutual friends a narrative that portrays you as the unstable one, the one who didn't appreciate them, or the one who was detached and emotionally unavailable. This strategy in their departure is largely about having total control of the story. Narcissists are deeply invested in how other people perceive them, so the breakup becomes less about losing you and much more about protecting their reputation and their public image. It's not purely about trying to save face in the eyes of others, though. They must secure their reputation as the wronged party, the downtrodden victim, so that they can then distance themselves from any kind of blame, responsibility, or accountability. They lie to themselves as much as to other people because they truly need to believe that you were the reason that it all went wrong and that it was you who made them suffer. So why do they do it? At the core, narcissistic breakups are all about control and inflicting damage to make them feel better about themselves. By ending things abruptly, silently, or dramatically, they completely dictate the terms. They don't and won't allow space for measured discussion or mutual closure. Instead, they create a whirlwind of chaos because chaos keeps them in a position of power, dominance, and control. And here's the kicker. Often, their overly dramatic exit still isn't the end. Many narcissists will circle back weeks, months, or even years later, dangling the possibility of reconciliation. Not because they've changed, but because they crave the validation that you once gave them, and have perhaps even struggled to replicate or replace with their subsequent sources of supply. So how can you protect yourself? If you recognize yourself in these patterns of narcissistic breakup behavior, then here's the most important thing to remember. The way that they ended it says more about them than it does about you. Their exit strategy is a tried and tested formula and is purely a reflection of their own internal trauma and not your worth. If you're still reeling from a brutally painful and confusing narcissistic breakup, then here are 5 things that you should do right now to protect yourself from suffering any further damage. Number 1, don't chase closure. Right now, closure will be the one thing that you're desperately wanting more than anything else, an explanation. But you won't ever get an honest ending from someone who thrives on manipulation and coercive control, much less someone who can't attach to anyone on an emotional level. Number 2, don't reach out, however much you want to. Instead, maintain your dignity through silence. Silence is both the best way to protect yourself and to turn the tables back on the narcissist. They may not care that you've retreated into the background. In fact, it may be precisely what they want, so that they can immerse themselves in the act of love bombing their new supply. But it will confuse them in the way that it did you, and it will almost certainly put a dent in their fragile ego because you aren't chasing them or begging them to reconsider. Now, make no mistake, this is going to be easier said than done, but stay strong and you will thank yourself for it later. Number 3, cut all contact wherever possible. Blocking isn't petty, it's protective. Go complete zero contact and do everything in your power to resist reaching out. Your total withdrawal is your strongest weapon against the narcissist at this stage. Any attempt to engage will only provide them with fuel and supply, or allow you to be manipulated and traumatized further still. If you're able to, block their access to your social media accounts, because the narcissist will lurk in the shadows and will constantly keep an eye on you to see if you've collapsed under the weight of their discard, or to see if your life is actually better without them. They will always be watching. Number 4, lean on your reality anchors. Don't be afraid to call on the support of your dependable friends, family, or even a therapist who specializes in emotional abuse. And it might be worth trying journaling or spending some time reading accounts from other victims of narcissistic relationships. The main thing here is to find something that helps keep you grounded in truth. You're going to need to find yourself a crutch and a support mechanism to stop you from trying to reach out and break no contact in those times of desperation, longing, and confusion. And I can tell you from personal experience that the trauma bond is brutal and will often take you by surprise. Just when you think you're making progress, something will happen, a memory or maybe an anniversary, and somehow you're right back to where you started. Number 5, remember the cycle. Remember, if they come back, it's not about love or remorse. It's about supply and manipulation. Anyone who can walk away in silence and watch you suffer without closure or explanation never really loved you in the first place. They loved what you gave them, and how you took away their internalized narcissistic shame and their crippling self-loathing. It's painful, but unfortunately very necessary to realize that they never loved who you are as a person with your own feelings, imperfections, and insecurities. They only loved how you made them feel and the validation and the attention that you gave them. When narcissists end a relationship, they have three primary aims in mind. Firstly, to maximize your confusion and destabilize your mental well-being. Secondly, to minimize your dignity and mete out the punishment that you so richly deserved in their poisoned minds. And lastly, the preservation of both their self-image as well as their appearance in the eyes of others. It's a well-used cycle of behaviour that's designed to extensively wound and demoralise and to leave you traumatically bonded to your abuser and unable to move on easily. It's only once you understand this pattern that you can stop internalising it. A breakup with a narcissist will never give you the closure that you deserve, but walking away from their repetitive toxic cycle is the closure that you actually need. I hope that you found this guide to the cowardly way that a narcissist will almost definitely exit a romantic relationship helpful, even if it highlighted some painful home truths about the person whom you thought loved you. And if you have found it useful or in any way informative, then please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And I'd really love it if you felt comfortable enough to leave a comment down below. It would be great if perhaps you'd share your own story or personal experience. I'll see you in the next one, and remember, together we will get through this.